Hey, this is Owen. If you're comfortable, leave your first name and state at the sound of the tiny truck backing up.
Owen, I have this brilliant idea for you, and it is to send money to the Hank Kuhnemans and that long-haired Robin, whatever his name is, Donald Trump.
Robin Bullock, yeah.
Small donations. Take a mailbox and have their paraphernalia and their propaganda sit there and really sift through it and see how the hell these people are culting people in. Thanks. Bye.
Actually, a really good idea, and I tried to do that. A while back, Mike Huckabee was shouting out this patriotic education pamphlet and books that were made for kids and stuff. I tried to get my hands on it. Here's the problem with a lot of it. If you give them your bank account information, they continue taking money out of your bank account against your will. Donald Trump famously got busted for doing that. You'd send one donation and he continued taking money out every month. And there was no cancel subscription button. Same with the Mike Huckabee thing that he shouted out a while back. The patriotic education stuff. There's no unsubscribe option. So what I did was I created a virtual card with like some website, privacy.com or something. I created a virtual card and tried to pay with that. Didn't work. They wouldn't allow it. I got a Visa gift card from Amazon. Tried to use that. Didn't work. You have to give them a valid debit card, and they try to do a pending charge of a high amount or something just to make sure the money is there, even though it's supposed to be $1. It was only for $1 that they were charging for this stuff. It won't work unless you give them your real bank account information. And also, I don't want them to have my address either. Getting a P.O. box is a little bit of a complicated mess in my area. So, I mean, it's all scams. It's scams all the way down. And I honestly don't want to be scammed. So I tried to find a safe way to do it. And they have put protections in place specifically designed to prevent you from getting this stuff in a safe way so that you won't be scammed. So until someone can send it in to me, or something, if they like bought this stuff originally when they believed it, feel free to send it in, but don't put your own card at risk. Don't put your own bank account at risk. I'm not going to put my stuff at risk just for that. But it absolutely would be fascinating to sift through some of their propaganda.
Hey, Owen, this is Daniel from California. I had an interesting question. When was the last time you went to a Kingdom Hall before you deconverted? I deconverted from Catholicism. My last time going to church was in January 2015, although I don't remember the exact date. But anyway, I like your show. I think that's an interesting question. Bye.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That is actually an interesting question. I had to think about this. I've been to the Kingdom Hall a few times after deconverting, because my mom wanted to bring Kylie to it one time, so I decided to go with her. I didn't want her going without me, basically, so I went. That was the one time I went. I don't remember. I've been there a few times, 2 or 3 times since I left the religion behind, but before that, I believe I actually fully deconverted, fully stopped believing in 2011. I think. And before that, I stopped going because I was like disfellowshipped and stuff in 2009, maybe. So yeah, it's been 13 years since I stopped believing, somewhere in there, 12 or 13 years, I think. I couldn't give an exact day for sure, but yeah, I just stopped going one day and that was the end of it. Best decision I ever made in my life.
Hey, Owen, it's Lou. This is for you, not the chat.
Uh-oh. Sorry, chat. You're going to hear it anyways. Let's hear it, Lou. Lay it on me.
Hopefully you could make like a second Twitch for the gaming stuff. It just kind of gets weird seeing all of it mixed together, your regular shows with your gaming stuff in the same Twitch channel. Love you, man. Bye.
I get it. I understand. The reason that I do both together, the gaming stuff and the political stuff, the reason I mix them is because if I don't meet a certain threshold of streams per week or hours streamed per week, I can't monetize. I can't have subscribers. People can't cheer with bits or any of that stuff. They can't have channel points, I don't think. So I open it up to gaming also, so that I will meet the minimum threshold of hours streamed and individual days streamed, so that I can have subbies and bits and cheering and all of that other stuff. That's the reason that I mix the two. I agree, it's not ideal, but I don't know. I have fun with the gaming stuff, and I talk about serious topics when I do the gaming. It's a good opportunity for people to like come in and ask me questions and talk to me about, my viewpoints on this thing or that thing. So when I'm doing the gaming stuff, it's a good opportunity for that. By the by, I'm going to be streaming on Tuesday and Thursday this week, so come watch and talk to me while I stream. Just chit-chat for a while.
Hey, it's Lou in Missouri. I'm just sitting here listening to some jazz, and it crossed my mind. I asked the other week about if Trump's loyalists, the politicians, if you will, are possibly using voice applications like Cameo to cover their tracks by adding more voice data for the FBI to have to go through and things like that. That's more the question I was wondering if you could ponder on more precisely. Thanks, bud. Love you.
Yeah, I guess I kind of weaseled my way out of that question originally. I don't remember exactly what my response was when you asked this before, but the question was, is it possible that people are using Cameo, like these right-wing thought leaders are using Cameo to create more stuff for the FBI to sift through? Maybe plausible deniability to some degree, something like that. I don't think so. I don't think that's really an aspect or whatever. I don't think that's a part of it, in my opinion. I think Cameo is just another way for them to bring in money off of their brand, which I have nothing against that. Some of these people are asking way more than I feel they should probably be asking. Like, Caitlyn Jenner is outside of the political sphere more than the person I think that you're referring to here. But Caitlyn Jenner charges like $3,000 per Cameo message or some ridiculous thing like that. My God. Who has $3,000 to solicit a 30-second video from anybody, let alone Caitlyn Jenner? My God. Anyway, more directly to the point, I don't think that's part of it. Maybe it is. It's hard to know for sure what their motivations are and stuff like that. But if I had to guess, I would say they're probably just trying to make money off their brand rather than come up with plausible deniability. Who knows? Maybe that's an aspect to it. Maybe that's a part of it.
Hey, Owen. This is Brady from Pennsylvania. I wanted to ask about your wedding, since it was, I assume, a secular wedding, because you and your wife are both atheists. I was just wondering what went down, because I've never actually been to a secular wedding before, and I was just curious how it goes. I'm an atheist, and I would love to have one in the future, so I'm just very curious. So thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, I appreciate the voicemail. Well, that's the interesting thing about weddings, right? They are almost by definition, like, really religious, and the whole premise behind it is bizarre. The father of the bride walks the woman down the aisle and it effectively passes custody of her to this new man, right? Like, he's giving up custody of this woman to this new person who's now responsible for her actions and thoughts and well-being. It's just very weird. I mean, if you think that's a weird description, then go to a wedding. If you haven't been to one in a while, go to one and watch how things play out and the things that they say and their body language and everything. It's all very, very weird when you think about it. And to your point, it's kind of difficult to separate the religious aspects from the non-religious underlying premise. At my wedding, it was very small. It was just a few people because it was in the middle of COVID, for one thing. And for another thing, I didn't want to blow $30,000 on a wedding. I felt like that was poor financial planning. So anyway, we basically walked down to this thing, this little arch, I guess you could call it, and we stood under the arch called Wagner Cove at Central Park. We went to Wagner Cove, stood under the arch, and the person that we got to do it, they were a wedding officiant, I think is what it was called. They were non-religious, or they were supposed to be, but when they came up, they actually pulled out 2 bells, and they rang the bells against each other and said, "This is a symbol of something Buddhist." I don't even know what it was. But the general idea behind it was you two are joining because you love each other and you promise to take care of each other and stay with each other forever because this thing or that thing, whatever. It was just a general, you love each other and you're going to stay together forever type of thing that they laid out. Cut all of the religion out of it. My wife's dad didn't walk her down any aisles to pass custody to me. There's nothing about passing custody or any of that other stuff. It was just, there's so much weird stuff about weddings that we completely cut out. The officiant gave a little speech. We read our vows. I read mine, she read hers. Then we exchanged rings. And then we went home. That was about it. Actually, we went on a boat ride, I think, afterward. Yeah, we did. We went on a boat ride. So anyway, yeah, that's how we did it. Would recommend. 10 out of 10. Would do again, for sure. Well, hopefully I won't be doing it again. Hopefully I doubt it, yeah. I think my wife and I are really good, so definitely won't be doing it again. This is from Catherine. Hi, Owen. Really enjoy your videos. After reading some comments online and articles, I wanted to get your opinion on something that's been bugging me for a while. What is your opinion on new atheists? Apparently, Richard Dawkins, whom you've mentioned on your channel before, is one. The criticisms I've seen call them out as fundamentalist atheists, the promotion of complete annihilation of religion. I've even read that they're okay with violence against religion if needed. They make religion out to be a cult and have been called Islamophobic. From what I've seen, they seem to use some pretty intolerant rhetoric. One article I read said that Dawkins' preface for The God Delusion, his aim was to make theists reading it atheists. Isn't this proselytizing? Isn't this the same as Christian fundamentalists who want complete annihilation of other beliefs? Doesn't this just further promote the us versus them rhetoric that they accuse Christians of having? Or have I missed something entirely? Thanks, Katie. I can't speak to new atheists, quote unquote. I don't know anything about like a new atheists movement or who's a part of it or how they feel about things. I can tell you that there are militant atheists out there who are angry and approve of violence against other groups. That kind of intolerance and extremism exists in every single movement on planet Earth, just about. And I call it out when I see it. I just don't see it very often. In fact, nearly never. In fact, I think maybe I've heard a single news story about somebody like getting actually getting violent over their atheistic beliefs. It's so incredibly rare. Generally, what the atheist movement wants is freedom from persecution by religious people. And in an ideal world, let me frame it this way for you. In an ideal world, Scientology wouldn't exist, right? In an ideal world, we could talk to these Scientologists who are really extreme and unhinged from reality and have these bizarre beliefs, and we could help them navigate their way out of these strange ideas. Or QAnon. In an ideal world, we wouldn't have QAnon members anymore. In an ideal world, we wouldn't have flat earthers. We'd be able to talk them out of their beliefs and reason with them and help them find their way back to reality, back to the shared reality that we're all in together. Because right now, they don't seem to be. Right now, QAnon members are going off about blood sacrifices of Satanists and adrenochrome and all of this crazy nonsense. Makes no sense at all. I think what Richard Dawkins was saying in his book, The God Delusion, is he wants to help people find their way out of their belief system that he believes to be untrue, the same way that I want to help people find their way out of QAnon. In an ideal world, QAnon wouldn't exist. In an ideal world, we'd be able to reason them out of these beliefs. I completely agree with that. I am an atheist. In an ideal world, I would like to see people come to the realization that they don't know. They don't know what's beyond the grave or whatever. They don't know if there's a God out there. Admit that. Admit you don't know that if there is a God or not, admit that the Bible is full of errors and honestly has no useful moral precepts, that it doesn't reverse a chapter later, that the morals that you believe in are from you, not from the Bible. That's how you could tell they were good morals, because you already believed them to be when you read them. Admit those things, and we're good. That's what I want in an ideal world, for people to come to those realizations. Now, I understand I'm not going to be able to talk everybody out of religion, and that's fine. That's fine with me, really. I don't want to. If you have these deeply held religious beliefs, that's okay. Fight with me against extremist groups like QAnon, Scientology, Jehovah's Witnesses. Fight alongside me to try to help people find their way out of these groups, and I'm satisfied. You want to go to church every week and listen to your pastor tell stories about the Bible? Totally okay with me. That's the approach that I take personally. And that's all I can really tell you. I can't defend Richard Dawkins or his positions because I don't really like the guy that much, and I don't know that much about his positions, and I don't get into the habit of defending other people's reputations. So I can't speak to Richard Dawkins specifically, but that's my take on it, and I do not view that as proselytizing. You'd have to view what I do as proselytizing if you viewed that as proselytizing, but that's my take. Next one is from Chandler. I have a question for you. I was wondering if you have an explanation as to why, in your opinion, pro-lifers just can't seem to keep their noses out of people's business. The reason why I ask is because I think the whole thing is about the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade is completely ridiculous, and I think the Supreme Court doing so is unconstitutional because it gives the states the power to disenfranchise and discriminate against women. Interesting question. Let me lay this out for you. This is where the general disagreement is. Pro-lifers believe that life begins at conception, and from that moment on, it's a baby, and it should be considered as such, and it should have all the rights of a human being, right? The United States is one of the most propagandized countries in the world on this issue right now, and is one of the only countries that has these bizarre, extreme arguments about it. Life begins at conception in the same way that a seed contains life. I guess technically, but nobody cares about throwing seeds out the window or whatever else. I guess technically, the cell that I just scratched off my nose, that had the spark of life in it too, and I just destroyed it by scratching my nose just now. It is exactly the same in the case of a fertilized cell. There is fundamentally no difference between the two. So the problem is with pro-lifers, they believe that it should come with all the rights that a full-blown human has at the moment of conception. But if that really is how you view it, then you have to bar people from scratching their noses. Should we all be walking around in oven mitts? It leads to absolute logical absurdity. It seems to me that the only reason that it was even created in the first place, this propagandistic talking point about life begins at conception, is because it's an emotional issue that people can fundraise off of. Just like QAnon using the emotional issue of child sacrifice or child mistreatment or whatever. It's an emotional issue that they can get people whipped into a blood frenzy over. The government was completely controlled by Republicans from 2016 to 2018. Every branch of government, the presidency, the Supreme Court, the Senate, and the House, all four were Republican controlled. And for some reason, they just couldn't figure out how to ban abortion. Seems to me like they wanted to keep it as a fundraising issue. Now, it does look a little bit bleak for Roe v. Wade right now, but I think our chances of keeping Roe v. Wade in place are a little bit better than people suspect. At least partly because it's a massive fundraising issue, and they would no longer have that fundraising issue if they got rid of it. I guess we'll have to see. Time will tell what happens next. Unkindness, even if you give them that premise, no one has the right to use someone's body without consent. You're absolutely right. I was coming at it from a different angle, argument-wise, but you're right. They don't. They don't have the right. I heard somebody present it with this argument. You get in a car accident, okay? Let's say you've been drinking. You get yourself in a car accident. It's your fault. You messed up, you did the wrong thing, and you drove on your way home from the bar, and you get in a car accident, and the person whose car you hit is gravely injured. You wake up in the bed next to them, and they have, against your will, hooked you up to a blood transfusion device, and they are taking your blood out and giving it to the person that you injured. Do they have a right to handcuff you to that bed and force you to continue to give them that blood transfusion, whether you like it or not? Of course not. You have the right to bodily autonomy. You can make a decision. If you don't want to be hooked up to that person anymore, you don't have to be. I mean, you could be responsible for their death. You could be responsible for any number of things, but it's your choice to do that, and nobody can stop you. That is the nature of bodily autonomy. And that is effectively the same scenario when it comes to abortion. You should be allowed to make that decision because nobody has the right to use you as a host, pretty much. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Your fault or not, irrelevant. No one has that right. Where was I? All 3 GOP candidates for Michigan AG said they would be okay with banning contraceptives in the state. My God, dude, it just gets crazier and crazier. Like, they wanted to get rid of abortion, and now they seem to be winning that battle mostly, and now they want to get rid of contraceptives. Why? Why? What is the point, if not to cause misery? Is that the point? That's the only point I can see. Kind Eyes, I think. They really are like, hey, let's get rid of abortion. Tries to get rid of the things that prevent abortion. I know. Either you can lower abortion rates, or you can lower pregnancy rates. That's what it's going to be. One of those two things can go down, and the other one will go up, whether you like that or not. Or massive human suffering. I guess one of those 3 is going to go up.